The air in the warehouse was heavy. As the red emergency lights flickered, the cold metal walls closed in around Gabriel like tombstones. His eyes were still locked on the message trembling on the computer screen. "You're late, Gabriel." The click of fingers brushing against triggers became the only melody of the silence. 4 men surrounded Gabriel in flawless formation. Their faces were hidden in shadows, but their posture betrayed military discipline. This was no random gang. They were professionals. Gabriel's mind was racing. Reaching for his gun was an option, but within seconds, he could be riddled with bullets. With a quick glance, he studied the room. The cables along the side wall, the metal beams in the ceiling, the generator in the corner. Each one a potential opportunity. One of the intruders spoke. English, but with a thick accent. "Drop the bag." Slowly. Gabriel locked eyes with him. A faint smile tugged at the corner of his lips. He set the bag on the ground, but his hand never left the strap. In that moment, the brief silence fused with the rhythm of the red light, stretching time to its limit. Another man approached the terminal. He looked at the screen, then turned to the others and nodded. "The data's been taken, and since he's here, the plan is working." A bell rang in Gabriel's mind. The plan is working. Those words confirmed the alpha and beta protocols he had seen on the terminal. His presence here wasn't a coincidence. Someone wanted him to reach this point. In a flash, Gabriel brushed the side pocket of the bag on the floor. A faint click. The EMP device activated. The warehouse plunged into darkness. Monitors went black. The generator sputtered and died. Even the laser sights on the weapons blinked out one by one. The men cursed, firing blindly into the void. But Gabriel had already melted into the shadows. His steps carried him silently toward the side corridor. The only light left was the dull glow of the red emergency lamps. The first man tried to fire on reflex, but his weapon stayed silent. The EMP had temporarily blinded the electronic firing mechanism. Gabriel slid back silently, hand gripping his suppressed pistol. One breath, one step. Then a muted pop echoed through the dim light. The first man dropped. As the others stumbled in panic, Gabriel climbed up into the beams overhead. From above, he watched them with an icy expression, as if every move had been calculated in advance. One of the men below shouted, "Don't let him get out of here alive." Gabriel narrowed his eyes. The EMP's effects would only last a few minutes, and those minutes were his only chance. He stayed hidden between the beams, waiting. The red light flickered once more, shadows shifted, and Gabriel leapt down. The impact thundered through the metal floor as his boots hit. All eyes turned to him. The confrontation had begun. The first move came fast. The lead man whipped a knife from his belt, slashing toward Gabriel. Gabriel sidestepped, grabbed his wrist, twisted it backward until the blade dropped, then slammed his elbow into the man's jaw. Silence shattered with the crunch of bone. The other two tried to fire, but the EMP still held. Their triggers clicked uselessly, panic consuming them. Gabriel seized the moment. He grabbed a heavy iron pipe from atop the generator, swung it, and crushed the knee of the man to his right. The scream was sharp, cut short when Gabriel pinned him down with a brutal stomp to the back of the neck. The last man froze. For the first time, fear flickered across his face. He dropped his gun, raising his hands. But something was wrong. His eyes kept darting to the back door. Just then, the door burst open with a violent crack. 2 new figures entered, armored and carrying shotguns, with mechanical triggers unaffected by the EMP. Gabriel drew a deep breath. Time seemed to slow. In his mind, a single thought echoed. "If I don't get out of here, this file is buried with me." A shotgun roared. Pellets tore into the wall. Gabriel rolled across the floor, taking cover. His hand dove into his bag, pulled out a smoke grenade. The pin snapped, and gray haze flooded the room. Vision collapsed to nothing. Behind the veil, Gabriel crawled low, inching toward the terminal's desk. His hand reached up, plugging a small USB into the port. In seconds, data began streaming. On the flickering screen, the words burned into his eyes. Beta protocol initiated. Target, satellites. As the device copied files, muffled shouts and footsteps echoed through the smoke. Gunfire cracked blindly. Gabriel yanked the USB, stuffed it into his bag, and sprinted toward the service door at the far end. Locked. He slapped his bypass module onto the panel. 10 seconds. 8. 5. The door opened and the sea breeze slapped his face. He stepped into the night, but escape was far from over. Outside, black SUVs idled, headlights blazing on the warehouse. At least 6 more men, weapons ready. Gabriel pulled his last card, a palm-sized explosive. He hurled it back. The explosion ripped through the warehouse, fire and smoke tearing into the sky. Panic screamed into the night. He ran. Bullets split the darkness around him. Every stride sharpened his survival instinct. At the edge of the dock, a small boat was tied. He vaulted onto it, started the motor. The waves rocked it violently as he tore away, leaving behind the inferno. His eyes locked forward. In his bag was only one USB. But that USB could shift the balance of the entire game. Pulling into a hidden jetty under the midnight sky, Gabriel dragged the boat ashore. The cold air burned in his lungs, but a hotter suspicion burned in his mind. Layla. The USB she had handed him at the cafe, was it truly to help, or part of the trap? The holographic message still haunted him. "You're late, Gabriel." Words written not just by an enemy, but by someone who knew him well. Through the city's narrow streets, he felt eyes in every window, every corner, every car. Entering a small safe house in a basement, he locked the door and opened his bag. The USB slid into his encrypted laptop. Data scrolled across the screen. His lips moved with a whisper. My God. The records weren't just about radar systems. The beta protocol was already live. Over and over, the documents repeated, beta, orbital silence, target, GPS, communication satellites. The next step wasn't just blinding radar, it was collapsing global communications. With satellites silent, armies would go blind, economies would stall, nations would turn on one another. But worse was the final note. Delta Protocol, pending approval. No explanation, only 3 symbols. Gabriel leaned back in his chair, eyes closed. This was no ordinary cyber attack. This was the prologue to a new war on a global scale. He pulled out his phone, connecting securely to CIA headquarters. Agent Elliott's face appeared. I've got the data. Beta is targeting satellites, but there's something worse. They mentioned Delta. Elliott's face tightened. Voices in chaos echoed behind him. Gabriel, you have to confirm this intel, but be careful. If Delta goes live, the rules change. Gabriel's jaw clenched. Do we know who sent me here, or is someone inside guiding me? Elliott stayed silent. That silence etched the truth in Gabriel's mind. There was a mole. Packing his bag, Gabriel left the safe house. The streets were still crawling with eyes. The city had been swallowed by night, smoke still rising from the port. Turning a corner, he saw Layla. She wore a plain coat, her face lined with worry. Gabriel, they're hunting you everywhere. The explosion put the whole city on alert. You can't stay here. Gabriel's stare was silent, stripped of trust, filled only with doubt. Did you send me there, Layla? Her eyes dropped. Her lips trembled but gave no answer. That silence weighed heavier than words. Gabriel stepped back. One day, you'll have to tell me the truth, but that day is not today. He turned and disappeared into the streets. High above, on the roof of a tall building, another pair of eyes watched through night vision binoculars. A shadow leaned into his radio. Confirmed, target alive, Delta is ready. Only one reply came back, cold and mechanical. Keep watching. Gabriel is carrying the key, and he doesn't even know it. As Gabriel vanished into the labyrinth of alleys, his inner voice echoed. Alpha blinded the radars. Beta will silence the satellites. But Delta? Delta, who is it meant to silence? The night ended with unanswered questions. But one truth was certain. The war was no longer invisible. And Gabriel Ward stood at its very center.